Buenas and Hafa The Committee on Rules hereby convenes this meeting. For the record, today is June 13th, Thursday, and the time is now 12:22 Chamorro Standard Time. A first notice for this meeting was sent to all media outlets on Thursday, June 6, 2024, and posted on the Government of Guam Public Notices portal that same day. A second notice was sent to all media outlets on Tuesday, June 11, 2024, and posted on the Government of Guam Public Notices portal on that same day. The rules of engagement, the chair will recognize a member who raises their hand to make a motion. The chair will rule a member out of order if they have not been recognized by the chair. The chair will note also that a second to a motion is not required. Roll call. The Core Director, Ms. Cameron Nelson, will now call the roll of members. Ms. Nelson?
Chairperson Senator Barnett. Vice Chairperson Senator Perez. Speaker Terlahi. Vice Speaker Munoz Barnes. Senator Shelton. Senator Parkinson. Senator Kinatat. Senator San Augustine. Senator San Nicolas. Senator Brown. Senator Duenas. Senator Fisher. Senator Titagui. Mr. Chair, there is a quorum.
Mr. Masi, Mr. Nelson. The chair will now recognize the vice chair on the motion to excuse members not present.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Approval of core meeting minutes. Colleagues, the core meeting minutes can be found on the Google Drive folder dated 6/13/24, labeled 3, approval of 37th Guam Legislature core meeting minutes. The chair will recognize the vice chair on a motion to approve the core meeting minutes for the May 16th, 2024 meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chair, subject to corrections.
All right. Are there any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. We'll now move on to item number 4 on the core agenda, document tracking. I'll recognize our Legislative Secretary, Senator Amanda Shelton, who has prepared the document tracking. And again, colleagues, these documents are available on the Google Core Meeting Drive dated June 13th. Senator Shelton?
Masi, Mr. Chair, Hafa colleagues, the Legislative Secretary report to date is as follows. There are 101 appointments submitted by Governor Leon Guerrero. A total of 70 appointments have been confirmed. Of the remaining 31 appointments, there are pending confirmations, 5 withdrawals, and 8 have extended beyond the 90-day deadline. There are 2 zone change requests at this time. There are 9 rules and regulations requests. 3 bills have been introduced, and all 3 are now law. 2 have lapsed by default. We have 4 registered lobbyists. Masi, colleagues.
Thank you, Senator Shelton. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda, sub-item B, ratification of referral, re-referrals. Colleagues, these documents can be found in the Google Drive folder labeled 04B, legislative item logs. Does the chair hear a motion to ratify the referral of bill number 298-37 core through 304-37 core and 307-37 core through 313-37 core and 314-37 LS, as well as 315-37 COR? All right, on the motion, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Session agenda. We'll now move to items cleared for consideration of the session agenda. Committee reports for the following items have been duly filed with the Committee on Rules. Colleagues, I'd like to note the following committee reports have been filed with the Committee on Rules and are available on our legislative website for review and public view. Of course, all the items listed on the agenda, as well as the addendum that was passed out to the members prior to the meeting. That is the most recent update of bills cleared for the session agenda. Vice Speaker, you're recognized.
On the first motion, Mr. Chair? Yes. Masi, Mr. Chair, I would like to add 3 bills authored by myself to the agenda, and I'll start. Motion number 1. My first motion will be a bill to add Bill 190-37 COR as introduced by myself and Senators Dwayne T. D. San Nicolas, Senator Chris Barnett, Senator Frank Blas Jr., Senator Chris Duenas, Senator Jesse Lahan, Senator William Parkinson, as amended by the Committee on General Operations and Appropriations to the agenda. This act to add a new Chapter 15 to Division 1 of Title 5 Guam Code annotated relative to creating the Marianas Cybersecurity Working Group. Mr. Chair, and for the record to my colleagues, the committee report on Bill number 190 COR was filed on May 14th, 2024.
Cito Smasi, on the motion to add bill number 190-37 COR to the session agenda, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Vice Speaker?
Motion to, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. I would like to move to add bill number 264-37 COR as introduced by myself, Senator Joe San Augustine, which is an act to appropriate $5 million from fiscal year 2020 for general fund revenues collected in excess of the adopted levels enumerated in Public Law 37-42 as amended to the Department of Parks and Recreations for the purpose of constructing the Manani Manaitai Shrine to the session agenda.
On the motion to add bill number 264-37 COR to the session agenda, are there any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Vice Speaker, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, if I may just on that, thank you for that motion. That report was filed on June 10th, so thank you. Motion number 3, Mr. Chair, is the final bill that I've authored. I move to add to the agenda Bill 267-37 as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement and Statistics, Research and Planning, as introduced by myself, as Senator Roy A.B. Kanata, Senator Chris Duenas, Senator William Parkinson, Senator Jesse Lohan, Senator Frank Blas Jr., Senator Joe S. San Augustine, and Legislative Secretary Senator Amanda Shelton, and Senator Dwayne T.D. St. Nicholas, which is an act to add a new section 5126.1 to sub-article C, Article 2, Chapter 5, Title 5, Guam Code annotated relative to authorizing the Department of Public Health and Social Services Division of Public Health to join or use contracts of other states or other government procurement units comprising one or more states of government procurement units. And for the record, Mr. Chair, this committee report on this bill was filed on June 11th.
Cito Smasi, Vice Speaker, on the motion to add bill number 267-37 COR to the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Shelton, you're recognized.
Cito Smasi, Mr. Chair. I'd like to place on the session agenda Bill number 294-37, authored by myself, Senator San Augustine, Dwayne St. Nicholas, Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, Joanna M. Brown, Sabina Flores Perez, Telo T. Taidagui, Teresa M. Terlahi, Christopher M. Duenas, Jesse A. Lujan, William A. Parkinson, Roy A. B. Kanata, an act to add a new Section 1040 to Chapter 10 of Title I, Guam Code annotated, relative to honoring the service and sacrifice of women veterans by establishing June 12th of each year as Women Veterans Recognition Day. This was filed and posted with the committee today, July 13th, or June 13th, excuse me.
On the motion to add bill number 294-37 COR to the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Shelton?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'd also like to add bill number 275-37, COR, authored by Senator Jesse A. Lujan, Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, Christopher M. Duenas, Dwayne T.D. St. Nicholas, Telo T. Taidagui, William A. Parkinson, Roy A. B. Kanata, Joe S. San Augustine, and Thomas J. Fisher. An act to add a new subsection 1 to Section 1112 of Article 1, Chapter 1, Division 1, Title 12, Guam Code annotated, relative to standardizing airport police and aircraft rescue and firefighting positions, compensation at the A.B. Wanpat International Airport Authority, Guam. This was filed and posted on July 11th.
On the motion to add bill number 275-37 COR to the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries.
Cito Smasi.
Cito Smasi, Senator Shelton. Senator San Augustine, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chair, correction. I'd like to add Bill 261-37 COR, an act to amend Section 4108 C2B on Chapter 4, Title 4, Guam Code annotated, relative to greater inclusion in sick leave policy. This was on the agenda and it was set aside. I'd just like to add it back onto the agenda.
Thank you, Senator San Augustine. On the motion to add Bill 261-37 LS to the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator San Augustine?
Yes, I have Bill 280-37 LS and as amended by the Committee on General Government Operation and Appropriation, introduced by myself, Senator San Augustine, co-sponsored by Senator Canata, Senator Vice Speaker Tina Rose Munoz-Barn, Senator Amanda Shelton, Senator Dwayne Nicholas, Senator William Parkinson, Senator Tom Fisher, an act to appropriate $415,000 from the fiscal year 2024 general fund revenues collected in excess of the adopted levels enumerated in Public Law 37-42 as amended to the Guam Election Commission relative to the 2024 Guam primary election. This was posted on June 10th.
Thank you, Senator San Augustine. On the motion to add Bill number 280-37 LS to the session agenda, any objections? Hearing none, motion carries.
Good. I'm good. Thank you.
Senator San Nicolas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just give me one second here. I'd like to make a motion to place Bill number 243-37 core as amended by the Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture onto session agenda as introduced by myself, Dwayne T.D. Nicholas, and William A. Parkinson. It's an act to add a new subsection 11318 to Article 3 of Chapter 11, Title 7, Guam Code, annotated relative to removing the statute of limitations and financial and property exploitation of an elderly person or individuals with disability. A public hearing was held and the committee report was filed. Again, I make a motion to place this on the session agenda.
Sidos Masi, Senator San Nicolas, on the motion to place Bill number 243-37 COR into the session agenda. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Hold on, we'll do that. Yeah, hold on. You got Senator Parkinson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place on the session agenda Bill number 260-37 as amended by the Committee on Fire, Agriculture, Power and Energy Utilities, Public Transit, Unemployment Insurance, and Universal Health Insurance, introduced by myself, Senator William A. Parkinson, an act to add a new Section 8108 of Division 1, Chapter 8, Title 11, Guam Code annotated, relative to lawful operation of cannabis-related facilities. It was on the last session agenda and just set aside. I'd like to put it back on.
All right, on the motion to add Bill number 261-37 LS to the session agenda, any objection?
260.
260?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. No objection.
260, there's been an objection.
Oh,
All those in,
it's on the agenda.
okay, well,
So you, what? Because it was moved to set aside. So we're just bringing it back on. Let's
Let's
call
vote on it
for-
then.
Wow. This is not fair.
We just conferred with legal, and since this bill was set aside in the last session and the session was adjourned, it needs to be replaced, and that's why we made the motion. There's been an objection, so all in favor of placing bill number 260-37 COR onto the session agenda, please signify by raising your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion passes. Senator Parkinson?
Thank you, sir. I would also like to add Bill number 6-37 as substituted and further amended by the Committee on Human Resources, Hagatna Revitalization, Regional Affairs, Public Libraries, Telecommunications, Technologies, and Federal and Foreign Affairs, introduced by myself, Senator William A. Parkinson, Dwayne T. Deason Nicholas, and Tina Rose Munya Barnes, an act to add a new Article 26, Chapter 12 of Title 10 Guam Code annotated relative to ending discrimination and employment use of cannabis.
On the motion to place bill number 6-37 COR onto the session agenda, any objection? There's been an objection. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Motion carries. Senator Parkinson?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'd also like to add Bill number 155-37 as amended by the Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture, introduced by myself, Senator William A. Parkinson, an act to add a new Chapter 164 to Title 8 Guam Code annotated relative to attendance of witnesses and to cite this act as the uniform act to secure the attendances of witnesses from without a state in criminal proceedings. Status on Bill 155-37 has been posted and available on the website.
Senator Parkinson, thank you. On the motion to place bill number 155-37 LS onto the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Parkinson?
Thank you, sir. And I'd also add to the bill number 14-37 as amended by the Committee on General Government Operations and Appropriations, introduced by William A. Parkinson, Roy A. B. Kanata, Dwayne T. Deason Nicholas, and Jesse A. Lujan, an act to add a new Chapter 11 of Title 5 Guam Code annotated relative to codifying a procedure for public meetings during a public emergency and ensuring the rights of the public to attend public meetings during public emergencies, and to cite this act as the Public Meetings During Emergencies Act. Status is on the bill is committee report has been posted and available on the website.
On the motion to place bill number 14-37 COR onto the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Parkinson?
And then also, notwithstanding House rules, I would like to add bill number 39-37, sponsored by myself, William A. Parkinson, an act to amend subsection D of 7.112 and to add a new subsection E to 7.113, both of Article 5, Chapter 7, Title 9, Guam Code annotated, relative to better effectuating the intent of Guam's Castle Doctrine Act by eliminating the duty to retreat from the curtilage of one's residence, and to enhancing judicial economy by adopting a pretrial hearing to determine a defendant's immunity from criminal prosecution, and to cite this act as the Castle Doctrine Reform Act of 2023.
Chairman.
Status of the bill is still in committee, and so that's why we'd have to do a notwithstanding rule, Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
I guess
Senator
that
Parkinson.
clarifies.
Senator Brown?
That's my question.
Yeah.
Where is the committee report and where was it posted?
It's my understanding the committee report is currently being
Yes, there has been a
circulated.
public hearing, and it's been since last September,
But we're
October.
back to putting bills on the agenda that have not met the public notice requirements and
Correct,
have not been
Senator Brown.
posted. So I'm going to have to object to that bill.
Yes. Yeah, I did have a public hearing.
Yeah, just for the record, the committee report on Bill 39 is currently being circulated, and the bill has not garnered enough votes to get out of committee, but there was a motion made notwithstanding the rules. There was also an objection, so all those in favor of placing bill number 39-37 onto the session agenda, please signify by raising your hands. Yes, Vice. Motion carries. Senator Perez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place Bill 249-37 as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research, and Planning, and further amended by the committee, sponsored by myself, Speaker Therese Terlahi, and Senator Chris Barnett. It's an act to add a new section 1203.1 to Chapter 1, Title 5, and a new section 45112 to Article 1, Chapter 45, Title 10, Guam Code annotated, relative to allowing the Bureau of Statistics and Plans, Guam Coastal Management Program, and the Guam Environmental Protection Agency to hire environmental law attorneys for their exclusive use. Onto the session agenda.
249 on the motion to add bill number 249-37 COR onto the session agenda. Any objection? Hearing none. Hearing none.
When we ask for standby, just standby. It's not, there's no panic here.
Standing by, Senator. Any objection? Hearing none. Motion carries. Senator Paris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to add Bill number 273-37 COR as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research, and Planning, sponsored by myself, Senator Sabina Flores-Perez, Speaker Therese Terlahi, and Senator Chris Barnett. It's an act to add a new section 14104P to Article 1 of Chapter 14, Division 1, Title 12, Guam Code, annotated relative to authorizing the Guam Water Works Authority to establish a customer assistance program to promote water conservation and to facilitate repairs on private property.
Thank you, Senator Paris. On the motion to add bill number 273-37 COR, is there any objection? No objection. Motion carries. Senator Paris.
I'd like to add Resolution 325-37 LS. Oh, resolutions last? Okay. Then I would like to add, on behalf of, 239? Okay. On behalf of the chair, I'd like to add Bill number 239-37 COR as amended by the Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture, sponsored by Senator Chris Barnett, co-sponsored by Senators Jesse A. Lujan, Joanne Brown, Sabina Flores-Perez, Dwayne T. DeSaniclas, and Tella T. Titlegy. It's an act to amend Section 67.401.4A and B of Article 4, Chapter 67, and to add a new section 80.39.2E of Article 2, Chapter 80, all of Title 9 Guam Code, annotated relative to sentencing and fine enhancements based on the quantities of methamphetamine or fentanyl involved in the trafficking or manufacturing of these drugs, and to remove first-time offender considerations of the Justice Safety Valve Act for illicit drug trafficking and manufacturing crimes onto the agenda.
Senator Paris. On the motion to place bill number 239-37 COR onto the agenda. Any objection? Hearing none. Motion carries. Senator Paris.
On the on behalf of the Speaker, I'd like to place Bill number 265-37 COR as amended by the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research, and Planning, sponsored by Speaker Theresa Terlahi. It's an act to provide tax relief to property owners of A, R1, R2C, and M1 zone properties used exclusively for residential purposes, and A and R1 zone unimproved properties by deferring increases in the property tax assessments resulting from the 2024-2025 island-wide property reevaluation onto the agenda.
On the motion to place bill number 265-37 onto the session agenda. Any objection? Hearing none. Motion carries. Senator Paris.
I'd like to place, on behalf of the Speaker, Bill number 288-37 LS, as amended by the Committee on Health, Land, Justice, Culture, sponsored by Speaker Theresa Terlahi, Senator Sabina Flores-Perez, is an act to amend Section 75124 and 75122B5 of Chapter 75, Division 2, Title 21, and Section 75A124 and 75A122B5 of Chapter 75A, Division 2, Title 21, Guam Code, annotated relative to authorizing the Tomorrowland Trust Commission to secure infrastructure funding through the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Rural Utilities Service to include substantially underserved trust area, or SUDA, initiative, utilizing proceeds from the Tomorrowland Trust Survey and Infrastructure Fund onto the agenda. It's Bill number 288-37.
Yeah, it's on the bill 288-37. It's my understanding that it has just cleared committee and it's on its way to Committee on Rules. So on the motion to place
Based
that,
on that, to be consistent, again, Mr. Chair, we've gone over this since the beginning of the term.
Senator Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you. I think transparency is important. There's not a committee chair here that doesn't have the staff or resources to get their bills and committee reports before this committee in a timely fashion. Once again, we continue this practice of not meeting those requirements, colleagues. So go ahead and outvote me. But once again, I'm going to object to be consistent. There's no reason we can't ensure these things be done in a timely fashion. And time again, the committee members that move these bills forward without having these reports for even us to review continue to fail in that. So I'm going to make an objection to that once again.
Duly noted, Senator Brown. There's been an objection, so on the motion to place Bill number 288-37 LS onto the session agenda, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. We have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With you, yeah. Yeah. All right. Motion carries. Senator Paris?
Motion to place Bill 245-37 COR, sponsored by Speaker Teresa Mterlai. It's an act to amend Section 6A 107 of Chapter 6A, Title 18, Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations relative to the switching of application types of Chamorro Land Trust leases. Onto the agenda.
245-37. It's on the agenda. Yeah. On the motion to place Bill 245-37 COR onto the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Paris?
I'd like to make the motion to place Bill 246-37, sponsored by Speaker Teresa Mterlai. It's an act to It's an act to amend Section 6A 117 of Chapter 6A, Title 18, Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations, relative to the lease award of the Chamorro Land Trust leases. Onto the session agenda.
On the motion to place Bill number 246-37 COR onto the session agenda, any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Paris.
I'd like to make the motion to place Bill 222-37 COR, sponsored by Speaker Teresa Mterlai. It's an act to reserve lot number 24171R7, the former Department of Public Health and Social Services, main building in Manilao, for the immediate use by the Department of Public Health and Social Services onto the session agenda.
On the motion to place Bill number 222-37 onto the session agenda, any objection? Are you objecting, Vice Speaker? Vice Speaker, okay, there's been
Yes,
an
I am.
objection. All
I am
those in favor,
objecting.
please support by, please show by raising your hands. 222-37. Yeah, this is to return the Manila Public Health back to public health so the people could get the services they need.
Yeah.
Good bill. All right, motion fails.
Do I do appointments later, right? Yeah. And is that you? Is that you?
I don't know.
You want that?
She's the one putting the DOE stuff on the website.
No?
Not really.
Okay, so we're good. How about 57?
A lot of work already.
How about Bill 57?
What's that?
That's the one about.
Oh man, nobody wants that shit.
Nobody wants it?
Set aside 3 times.
Okay, so wait, okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Paris. Senator Duenas, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, notwithstanding the House rules, I move to place Bill 175-37 COR, authored by myself, Christopher M. Duenas, Frank Blas Jr., Jesse A. Lujan, Thomas A. Fisher, Dwayne T.D. St. Nicholas, and this is relative to including nitrogen-reducing systems, establishing administrative process, and create the sewage disposal assistance fund. And I'd like move to place that at this time.
Thank you, Senator Duenas. Could I get a status update on the bill from the committee chair, please?
It's in committee, yeah. It hasn't been released, so.
Okay, the bill's currently in committee. It hasn't been released, but there's been a motion made notwithstanding the rules to add bill number 175-37 to the session agenda. Is there an objection?
Objection.
There's been an objection. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Motion carries.
Mr.
Senator
Chairman,
Duenas.
at this time I have another bill to place, notwithstanding the House rules. I move to place Bill 51-37 COR, authored by myself, Christopher M. Duenas, and this is an act to add a new sub-Article 3 to Article 1 of Chapter 61, Title 21, Guam Code annotated relative to allowing the construction of accessory dwelling units, ADU, in residential zones. Notwithstanding the House rules.
Okay, just a point of information. The status of Bill 51 is still in committee. However, there's been a motion made notwithstanding the rules to add it to the session agenda. Is there any objection?
Without a committee report again, even though it's on my side of the aisle, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to object.
Thank you, Senator Brown. You're recognized and your point is noted. There've been two objections. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Motion carries. Senator Duenas?
Mr. Chairman, that's all.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Order, please.
I don't know, was Bill 296 added to the agenda? Can you please confirm? Mr. Chair, I ask that we call to order.
All right, yes, please, if we could have order in the public hearing room. Masi.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to add Bill 296.
Senator San Augustine, you're recognized.
That add Bill 296, that's 37 COR, introduced by Senator Frank Blas Jr., co-sponsored by Vice Speaker Tina Rose Munyabarn, and Senator Chris Duenas and myself, Senator San Augustine, act to appropriate $1,563,601.50 from fiscal year 2024 general fund revenues collected in excess of adopted levels enumerated in Public Law 37-42 as amended for merit bonus payments owed to current and former employees of the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority and other government of Guam agencies and entities earned from fiscal year 2010 to present. The committee report was filed on June 13, 2024.
Masi, Senator San Augustine. On the motion to place bill number 296-37 onto the agenda? No objection. Motion carries. Now on resolutions, Vice Speaker.
I don't have any at this time, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. Senator Shelton?
Any resolutions?
Senator San Augustine?
No resolution, just I got appointees.
Senator San Nicolas?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This resolution was actually part of last agenda. It just was put down to the bottom of the list. Just one moment, please. Yes, ma'am. I got it. I'd like to make a motion to place resolution number 218-37, core, introduced by myself, Dwayne T.D. St. Nicholas, Joanne M. Brown, Roy A.B. Canata, Teresa M. Terlai, Frank Bloss Jr., Chris Barnett, Amanda L. Shelton, Christopher M. Duenas, Joe S. San Augustine, Tina Rose Muna Barnes, Jesse A. Lujan, William A. Parkinson, relative to supporting H.R. 522, Deliver for Veterans Act, introduced in the House, in the United States House of Representatives, which aims to cover the shipping and delivery expenses of adaptive vehicles provided for veterans with disabilities. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Consider Smasi, Senator St. Nicholas. On the motion, add resolution number 218-37 to the agenda. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Parkinson? Senator Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place Resolution 325-37LS as amended by the authors, Senator Sabina Flores Perez, relative to preserving one of the most valuable cultural sites in the Marianas Archipelago by identifying an alternative location for the Ratification Wildlife Refuge Center and its associated facilities pursuant to the planned relocation prescribed in the May 2020 Memorandum of Agreement between the Department of Interior and the Department of Navy in order to prevent further unnecessary environmental, cultural destruction, and relative to urging DOI-DON to fully recognize the indigenous rights of the original landowners of the lands concerned per their indigenous rights inextricable from the genuine protection of such lands. Onto the agenda.
Thank you, Senator Perez. On the motion to add resolution number 325-37 onto the agenda, there's been an objection? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Yeah. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, no, that's it. 3, 4. Motion carries. Thank you.
Just appointments.
Senator San Augustine, appointments, you're recognized.
Yes, I have an appointee, Rosemary Ajuzo Morales, to the Civil Service Commission, and also appointee Kathy O. Catling. All right, one at a time. I have appointees. Rosemary Ajuzo Morales to the Civil Service Commission.
Dalumbiali, Senator San Augustine?
I have two appointees, but we go
The first
one
one,
at a
could
time.
you please repeat it, Dispensa?
Appointee Rosemary Ajuzo Morales to the
Okay.
Civil Service Commission.
On the motion to add the appointment of Rosemary Azuzu Morales to the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator San Augustine.
Also have an appointee Kathy O. Catling to the Civil Service Commission also.
Also on the motion to add the appointment of Kathleen O. Catling to the Civil Service Commission, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to place the appointment of Cynthia Villacube, Esquire, member of the Guam Board of Equalization, onto the session agenda.
On the motion to add Attorney Cynthia Acube to the Guam Board of Equalization, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to also place on the session agenda the appointment of Elizabeth T. Fisher, member of the Alcoholic Beverage and Control Board, onto the session agenda.
On the motion to add Elizabeth T. Fisher, member Alcohol Beverage Control Board, onto the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Perez.
I'd like to place onto the session agenda the nomination or the appointment of John E. G. Elau as a member of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board onto the agenda.
On the motion to add John Elau, the appointment of John Elau to the Alcohol Beverage Control Board, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Perez.
I'd like to place on the session agenda Marie P. Lazama to serve as Director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation onto the session agenda.
On the motion to add Marie P. Lazama, Director, Rev and Tax appointment to the session agenda, any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Perez.
Also like to place the appointment of Juno Yun, member of the Guam Banking and Insurance Board, onto the session agenda. Juno Yun.
On the motion to add Juno Yun to the Guam Banking and Insurance Board, any objection? Motion carries. Senator Perez.
I'd like to also place onto the session agenda on behalf of the chair, Lulene C. San Augustine, as a member of the Guidance Counselor Representative onto the Guam Commission for Educators Certification onto the agenda.
On the adding the appointment of Lulene C. San Augustine to the session agenda. Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries.
If I may, if we can still, we're still on motions, I'd just like to see if my colleagues can consider a motion to set all the financial bills down to the bottom so that we can go into the committee of the whole and entertain all those bills at the end. And that those bills be in numeric order.
So there's a motion, Vice Speaker has a motion to place the bills in numerical order and to place all bills that require committee of the whole at the bottom of the agenda?
Now, as it relates to those that have appropriations.
Correct, yes.
Yes.
On that motion, is there any objection?
No.
Hearing none, motion carries. Senator Shelton?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I move to place the appointment of Louis R. Baza, Member, Port Authority of Guam Board of Directors on the session agenda.
On the motion to place the appointment of Louis R. Baza, Member, Port Authority of Guam Board of Directors onto the session agenda, any objection? There's been an objection. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move
Senator
to
Shelton?
place the appointment of Francisco G. Santos, Member, Port Authority of Guam Board of Directors on the session agenda.
On the motion to place the appointment of Francisco G. Santos, Member, Port Authority Guam Board of Directors onto the session agenda, is there any objection? There's been an objection. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion fails. Yeah. On the motion to adopt the agenda, Senator Kanata? There's been a motion to adopt this session agenda. Is there any objection? No objection. Motion carries. We're now on extension of remarks. The chair opens the floor for further discussion.
Yeah. I just want to make a comment.
Senator Paris, you're recognized on extension of remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to also explain the purpose of me not releasing the committee, and it's unfortunate that my colleagues voted against that. It's very unprecedented to see bills come out of committee without getting its full vetting. And the concern with Bill 175 is that, it increases the density of septic systems. And currently, what science has taught us is that, or shown, the evidence shows that when we increase density, it actually can end up contaminating the aquifer. So we've seen this in Saipan, where they had increased density, and the drinking water went above safe drinking levels. So here on Guam, there were studies that have been done in regards to density. And so the first study was done by John Mink, right? And his advice was 1 septic system for 3 acres. And then there was some additional work that was done, and he basically stated that he brought it down to 1 for every acre, as long as 2/3 of the northern Guam is not developed. So there's nothing currently on the books, as far as studies go, that shows that even the current regulations have septic systems for every half acre. So there's nothing, according to the testimony provided by Guam EPA, there's no science to support increasing the density. And so with this Bill 175, under Section 7 particularly, would allow for septic systems at a density of 1 for every quarter acre and up to 1 for every 1/6 of an acre. And so this really goes against the science of protecting our most precious resource, one of our most precious resources, which is our Guam Lens aquifer. And I think it's very important that, it's unfortunate that my colleagues voted to put it on the floor, and at the risk of harming one of our most precious resources, our drinking water. I've had oversight hearings on this, and what was provided by WERI is they did a study where they did a modeling study where they brought it down to 1/8 of an acre. And here on Guam, so this is the most recent study, they are expanding their studies to even further, so this was a smaller study, but they're expanding the study over the Jigo-Tumon Trough. So the Jigo-Tumon Trough is where a lot of the high productive wells exist. And so they still are looking into that, looking into the density issue. And so basically what they found with the 1/8 of an acre is that, and in fact, this was one of the proposals. So it was based on a proposal. They found that if they go down to 1/8 of an acre, the drinking water would not be safe to drink. And so what this Bill 175 with that Section 7 is going to allow, basically, it deregulates the Safe Drinking Water Act. It deregulates our protections of our aquifer. So combined with Bill 51, Bill 51 is the other mechanism, so the other bill that was brought out of committee without a committee report. If you combine these two bills, that would definitely provide a means to expedite the damage to our aquifer. The one thing that I see the issue here is the subdivision process. And so the subdivision, so I've met with the constituents, and unfortunately the subdivision of these properties are disconnected from the water protection. And so you find development where developers have put in water, they put in power, but they don't put in sewer, or some don't even put water and sewer. And so what we're dealing with is the circumvention of subdivision law, which requires these developers to put in the needed infrastructure. And so many of these constituents have this land in hand, and now they're holding the bag. They're holding the bag because these developers have not put in the proper infrastructure. So to see this Bill 175 as a means to address this is it's not going to solve the problem, because the problem is in the subdivision law and ensuring that these developers abide by the subdivision law. What this bill would do, it would exacerbate. It doesn't solve the problem, it would exacerbate, it would create this new problem, right, which is, will Guam be now livable? And so, because of our water is harmed from contamination. The other thing I want to point out, the idea was floated during the committee, or during the public hearing, that because Bill 175 would allow for nitrate reducing systems, which would reduce the nitrate in half, that was the rationale for increasing density. But mind you, it doesn't address PFAS. It doesn't address other contaminants coming from the sewage. And it also would not address the amount of wastewater. So a septic system by design releases sewage. That's what it's intended to do. It releases sewage into the environment. So these septic systems will not reduce the release of wastewater. In fact, it could double or triple the wastewater, triple other contaminants. And we don't know, there hasn't been, as far as I can see, I don't see the evidence of its effectiveness here on Guam. So where are the studies? So really the onus should be on who's trying to propose these, the onus should be on those bringing in the systems to see if it works here on our island. We hear about stories about like other places, but does it work here to the level that the claims are made on these products? And so, we're really jeopardizing, we're really taking the risk. We're taking a risk without really having all the information. And also, it's in contravention to what we currently know, that density will cause increase of contamination of our water. So it's really unfortunate that my colleagues voted to support such measures, both measures, to speed up the contamination of our drinking water. And so really, that's the rationale for me having some reservations about this bill. It's really about protecting our people, the health of our people, protecting even those that want to use this bill, their children and future generations. I think what we did today was rash, and really it goes against what the experts advise us. So this is the purpose, this is the reason. I'm doing the work as a committee chair to ensure we protect our community. And that is the reason for this, for the committee report not being sent out, because of this push to increase density. And mind you, $64 million, it's going to cost $64 million to treat PFAS today. This bill would increase the cost of cleanup. So it would increase the cost of to our ratepayers, to everyone here. I mean, it's been talked that these bills would address affordable housing, but there's nothing in these bills that say it promises affordable housing. But what it will do, it would most likely increase contamination to our water resource. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So just want to see Senator Paris on extension of remarks. Senator Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I also concur on the comments made by Senator Sabina Perez. This is a very concerning day. I've had a few in my times in the legislature. This is almost at the top of the list. You know, we talk about the importance of safe, clean drinking water. That's what keeps our people alive and what keeps this economy thriving. The fact that members of this legislature would prioritize other things other than ensuring safe, clean drinking water, considering, Mr. Chair, that just last session, just a few weeks ago, this legislature authorized a bond with the Guam Water Works Authority with their request to go up to $800 million, Mr. Chair. $800 million of the people of Guam's money that the people of Guam are going to have to pay, particularly over the next 5 years, a 71%, my dear people, please hear that. If you're upset about your water bill now, in the next 5 years, your water bill is going to increase to 71% more than what you are paying today. To do what, my dear people? To pay for existing contaminants that are in our water lens today. And that is on top of the shock increase that our people are also going to be experiencing, Mr. Chairman, when we are no longer able to financially subsidize the power bill. They're going to get hit twice. We say our inifresi at every single session, every important ceremony. We talk about protecting our land, our water, our air. But when the time comes to practice it, to vote for it, yes, let's all leave. Let's all leave. When the time comes to practice it and vote to protect the land and the water and the air, the legislature, majority of members here in this Rules Committee choose to do otherwise. I hope none of these members are going to accept any campaign donations by any vested interests that supported that legislation and that backed that legislation. Because how dare you go to the people of Guam and say, we're here to protect you, your children, and your grandchildren when we vote for legislation like this without properly vetting it. If we don't want to listen to the scientific experts that know how to protect our water, that we fund every year to do exactly that because we think we know better. What does that say about our leadership to the people of Guam? That we are able to be bought? That protecting the health and welfare of this community is not a priority? Our people already suffer from enough health issues. We worry about why we have cancer and other health ailments that our people have. More the reason we want to ensure that our drinking water is safe and clean and available to our people. Because if you think drinking bottled water is going to be the solution from somewhere else, that you're paying how many times over for, that you don't even know who's testing your bottled water that you're drinking. And all we're going to do is multiply the cost to our people and continue to contaminate our waterlands. The solution is to put more sewer lines in northern Guam. I've no objection to people developing their property, but when it becomes an issue where it affects the health and welfare of our people, when the people of Guam and the ratepayers that are customers of the Guam Waterworks Authority are saddled with that bill, then there's something wrong. Then the members of this legislature are not protecting the people of Guam, and that to me should be more important than anything else. That to me is more important than our electability. Now, if you cannot prioritize that, then what right do you have to sit here in this legislature? Because we want to show that, oh, we're big man on campus. We can move our bills at the expense and the interest of the safety of our people. So, Mr. Chair, I'm just practicing and preparing for the session hall when we have session to argue this bill. Because I cannot see in good conscience we lie to our people. That bothers me more than anything else. How can we do this and not make sure that that's a priority? Money, influence, electability is inconsequential to protecting the interests of our people. And when we pass legislation here to put on that floor that we know is contrary to that, and at a time already, Mr. Chair, when our people are now going to be saddled to pay over $800 million, that's just the cost of the bond. That doesn't include the final cost of the financing and everything else that they're going to have to pay. Look at the irony of this. It's unprecedented in our history that our people have ever had to borrow this much money to address the safe drinking water standards. And these are standards that are put in place to ensure that our water is safe to drink, so that we're not drinking sewage. Because we're literally having to pay to treat cleaning sewage out of our drinking water. I don't know, colleagues, how in good conscience you do that. Political expediency, whatever you want to call it, it's still wrong. And people of Guam, please listen. It's your water, it's your safety, it's your family, it's their future. And if we jeopardize that, and you're already, like I said, my dear people, if you're upset about your water bill now, over the next 5 years, your water rate is going to increase by 71% or more. And it's probably going to go up. So please thank the members of this body that voted to put this bill on the agenda without a properly vetted committee report, because that's just what they do. But I stand in full objection to this bill. I will stand in full objection in this bill in the floor of the legislature. I'll definitely go out with Senator Sabina and publicly relay as much of this information to the people of Guam and let them decide the kind of leadership they want here. Because I'll tell you today, what has happened today is majority members of this Rules Committee are not prioritizing the health and safety of our very people of Guam that they profess to protect and support. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I conclude my comments just for today, and I certainly look forward to the session of debating this bill.
Senator Perez, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just forgot to add that I have been working to provide a solution, and that is through sewer connections, and I was successful in appropriating $2 million to the Sewer Loan Revolving Fund to assist homeowners. And I'm actively looking for more funding so that we can build sewer lines to reach our constituents. So I am looking for a solution, and I'm working at it. So I just wanted to relay that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And at this time, I would like to recognize you for any remarks, extension remarks.
Thank you, Senator Perez. Yes, I too just wanted to chime in. I've been kind of like standing back and watching this drama and this situation with this Bill 175 unfold. And I think what really makes me uncomfortable is the way some of these special interest groups are able to push legislation through our processes. And these processes that we have in place, when you introduce a bill and it gets sent to a committee, it's the committee's responsibility to vet that bill after the public hearing and to turn out a bill that the committee believes is the best bill that could be. And, you know, the chair of the Committee on Environment has done a lot of good work and has introduced a lot of good bills that this body has passed with overwhelming support. And so I trust the chair's judgment. I trust the chair's discretion. That being said, I trust even more the testimony that the Guam Environmental Protection Agency has put on the record relative to this bill, and I trust that testimony from Guam EPA way more than I would trust any testimony from special interest groups like, for example, the realtors. Simply because I think anybody who looks at this with a common sense approach, I mean, who stands to gain from this? And it would be the realtors. It kind of reminds me when we go to the fiesta and you put your red rice, you put potato salad, and you put your roast pig, you put your short ribs, you put your kelagwin, you put your carambinado, you put your shrimp kelagwin, you put your latiza, and then you get a diet soda. That's what this bill to me represents, is that because there's this this technology that they're praising with these septic tanks that reduces nitrates only, not other contaminants, by 50%, we now have the realtors basically saying instead of having 2 of these systems on one 1-acre lot, they want to divide it and do 6 to 8 on a single acre. And so if you think about it, we're actually multiplying the waste stream and multiplying the contaminants that are going into our aquifer. And I'm just not comfortable with the way that these special interest groups, you know, and we saw this previously with the bill that we had on the mining rules and regulations, a simple bill that laid simple regulations for quarrying and mining on our island. We couldn't get passed because the realtors didn't want it to get passed. And so I don't agree that this bill is some type of silver bullet to address our affordable housing issues. I don't agree with that at all. I think that is a sentiment that they are using to kind of muddy the water, pun intended, on this whole issue. And again, for me, in communication with the chair on the Committee on Environment, I know that she was trying to turn this bill out in a good way, but that takes time. It takes time to do the research. It takes time to do the work. What it doesn't take time to do is to circle the wagons of special interest to come down here and provide pressure on our members so that we are not acting using our best judgment, but instead acting according to the wishes and desires of people who have a vested interest in seeing this measure pass, because at the end of the day, it'll lead to more money in their pockets. And so I think when it comes to matters of development and the environment, it behooves us as elected leaders to really listen to the stewards of these things. For example, Guam EPA. I think when Guam EPA speaks on the impact to the environment, the impact to the aquifer, I think that we have to listen, and we have to listen to that testimony and that science more than we should listen to some of the emotional arguments that are being put forth with this bill. Because if you kind of look at what the other side is saying, there's a lot of emotional entanglement that they're using. They're bringing in, you know, unfortunately, people who haven't been able to build on their property for a variety of reasons, sewer being one of them. But again, I don't think that rushing into this bill in the way that we did in this rules meeting is the way to go. And there's really, I'm uncomfortable also with just some of the shortcutting that goes on. You know, I think that in a lot of ways, as a committee chair, and I know we've got a lot of committee chairs sitting at this table right now, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't appreciate or respect somebody who was trying to yank a bill out from under your committee if you were still doing the due diligence and the work required to turn out a bill that is going to be good for Guam, because ultimately that's what we're here to do, is to turn out legislation that's going to be good for our people and our island, and not necessarily good for those who stand to make a profit off of it. And so I too just wanted to lodge on the record my remarks, and just really the discomfort I have with this circumventing the process. We've seen it on the floor previously with the call to question motion, and I'm worried that this is something that we're going to see because apparently this bill has the votes. And if you're not familiar, the people out there watching, call to question basically means kill the debate. And anytime you don't welcome debate on a measure, anytime you don't welcome an exchange of ideas, anytime you don't welcome senator who agrees with the bill and senator who disagrees with the bill, having the time to make those comments on behalf of those who elected us, I think it's a recipe for trouble, and that's something this body has supported previously in this term, and I only pray that we get to discuss this bill in the open air and in the daylight, so that the people of Guam can truly see that its impact, what it will really deliver for our island and our people, and what it won't. So nothing further, Vice Chair and Sidus Masi.
Sidus Masi.
On extension remarks, Senator San Nicolas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's very sobering to sit and listen. I decided to stay and give you the respect. So I didn't want to move rashly either. I did do some research on PFAS and how this could affect our island water. And one of the things that I had stumbled upon was that the manufacturers of PFAS, because they were so much concerned about it, that they were trying to phase out PFAS. And it was a documentary, and I think in an article that I read that they were slowly going to phase it out, and I guess science and research was done on it, and it is impactful. Especially a great majority of the United States is how do you say, contaminated with it, and so they were. So I acted in a way where I felt that in the future PFAS was going to be phased out in a way where it wouldn't affect us as the way it would be if it was just going to continue to be manufactured. But I acted in that way. I just seeking some justice for the owners of the property so that they can properly utilize it in the manner in which they so choose. But it is very sobering, and I thank Senator Sabina and Senator Blas for their extension of remarks. It's again, it's very sobering because they do have valid concerns, and I respect that very much. So I just wanted to make sure that this is not the end. There is going to be still further discussion on the floor, and there's still hope. Is what I'm saying. And so I respect your concerns, and it's being heard. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing further.
Sidus Masi, Senator San Nicolas. Anyone else on extension remarks? Seeing no one, Senator Perez, you're recognized.
Motion to adjourn.
On the motion to adjourn, any objection? Hearing none, motion passes. This meeting is hereby adjourned at 1:30 Chamorro Standard Time. Guahusi Senador Chris Malafunction Barnett, Sidus Masi, está. Adios.